So in many martial arts, the size of the opponent is not necessarily such a big difference as in Aikido. Obviously the size does matter, but if you're punching, well, you can punch higher, you can punch lower. The difference, it's not necessarily the same case as in Aikido. Yet in Aikido itself, if the opponent is bigger and you need to throw him, now it might cause you trouble. Now so today what we're going to look at is how to deal for a smaller person against a bigger person, training in Aikido, how to be good at that. We could look at how to be a taller person and train with a smaller person in Aikido, and potentially and most likely we will look at that in the future. We're going to look at this first because there was a question about that. To begin with, what's interesting is that Sensei himself wasn't very big. And when you train techniques, especially for me being a tall person, I know that actually small people in Aikido do have some advantages quite often. So there are certain techniques which are much easier for a smaller person to do in a technical sense. So for example, if we look at a Koshinage, if I'm taller, I'm really going to need to go down quite a bit under him. For a smaller person, there's a difference. So for example, if I do a Shihonage, again, in order not to bring that arm behind me, I'm going to need to bend those knees quite a bit. If I'm doing Iriminage, again, I'm going to need to bend those knees to bring them in. So as I said, we could do a whole video about tall people training Aikido, but still I can definitely connect and understand what's the trouble for smaller people to train with bigger people. Now I understand that I am a tall person myself, so in order to, but still I have a lot of students who have different sizes, so all the time I have things to point out for the smaller people which really help. But in order to portray that, we're going to do Hanmi Handachi, a half-sized person's technique, meaning I'm going to go on my knees to be smaller. Now definitely I am smaller than my partner. Now we'll start by looking at the most common misconceptions, mistakes that smaller people do. So for example, if he does a tsuki, he punches me and I go out of the center. Now first of all, there's a psychological part where he's bigger, so meaning there's the desire to want to try to become bigger as well. So the most common mistake I see for smaller people who are training with bigger people is that they try to level up to their level and kind of go on the toes, go up and try to do something there to go to an equal size, but that's not going to work. They're bigger, they're taller. So meaning what you need to do is, first of all, you need to bring them down towards your level. So never go up to them, always bring them down. And from here, they're going to be uncomfortable. They're going to be having a hard time, and here you can apply the technique much better. Now, what happens with, especially with tall, big people, they tend to resist. They tend to be resistive, and if I'm smaller and he punches and he tenses up, now here, if he's tense, using my arm force, I'm not gonna be able to bring him down. And then he may be happy about that, although it doesn't make sense. So one thing you can do is, first of all, to use the momentum. So meaning really catch that point striking when he's punching, really catch that point when he strikes. So continue his movement here, connect with it. That's one, using the momentum. The other one is using the center. Since we're smaller here, he's bigger, he's stronger. If I'm gonna rely on my arms, that's not gonna help. But if I connect to my center and I move with the whole body, I give him space, here I can actually really lean him in. That skill does require some practice, but basically notice, if you're gonna use the arms, he's gonna tense up, he's stronger, he's gonna win. If I use the center, give him space, move out, move together, I can really bring him in and work at the level where I'm comfortable at, and he's actually not comfortable. Now, in terms of grabs, so if he grabs me, so if he has a hold of me, again, I'm smaller. If I'm gonna try to, so he's gonna be a bit resistant. If I'm gonna try to do something up there to him, I have a hard time. So I'm not using my arms, and I'm not trying to do something to him. First of all, I connect to his center and work with his center. And again, I'm going to do an Ikkyo, so I'm going to bring him down to my level. So I'm not, if he's strong, I'm not pulling him with the arm. That's not going to work. But with my center, I connect to his center, I bring him down to my level. Here, even if he's a bit resistant. Here again, I'm not gonna go up, I'm gonna bring him down to myself, right here. So whatever technique that would be, always make sure you make it comfortable for yourself. Don't be intimidated by the fact that he's taller. Don't try to fight fire against fire. Don't try to become stronger or bigger than him, but rather bring him down here. Bring him down using the whole center. And then you are going to have a big advantage. So there's many more points we could look at. If you like these and you want some more, let us know in the comments. We'll be happy to explore them. Let me know. There was one request in the past of how to do Aikido as a tall person, because as I said, some techniques are really not designed for tall people. So I am considering to do that video, but to make sure it's really interesting for you, let me know in the comments as well if you are interested in that video. Let me know what else you're interested in. We're going to bring a series of new videos every week, so do subscribe. If you're interested to support our channel, if you want us to have the chance to make more videos, you can check our Patreon page and support us there. We would appreciate that a lot. That would be great. And otherwise, we are going to stop here. And as always, we'll see you on the virtual mat again soon.